You're listening to the Let Him Cook podcast, fueled by Cody Road from the Wild Rose Casino Studios. I'm your host, Dylan Coon. Joined alongside me is Nigel Dyson. Nigel, quick question for you. I know here, high school football, we're going to the Unidome this past weekend, the coming weekend. What's on the docket for a sports reporter in Louisiana this time of year?
Um, we're kind of delayed in football season, I'd say, because just because we had the bye week, so a lot of teams get that kind of free week off in the middle of the season. Um, and then on top of it, you got jamborees at the beginning of the year, so like everything is kind of delayed compared to Iowa. Like I constantly like point out how like quick you guys were done with football season,
Yeah.
and we have yet to like by the time we'll be at state. Excuse me, it'll be I think like early December.
Yeah.
Like state championship will be like December 7th, I believe. So
Some
I
of
mean,
that's
it's just
probably weather oriented too. It's nicer longer. Like it's gonna snow. I'm shocked it hasn't snowed six
right,
inches yet. So
right, yeah. No, and that's the thing too. Like, there's just like not much of a rush to get done. I know in Iowa, like you want to kind of be done by November because it's just freezing, by those weeks. So I mean, I'm sure it's probably already freezing now. So I think it's more so just like they're in a rush to be done before it gets too cold and unbearable to be outside. But yeah, no, it's just I would say just delayed. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. I mean, competitive football nonetheless, and people down south, they love their football, so it's should be a fun tournament this year.
Nigel, put some respect on Iowa, please. The real feel right now is 69 out.
wow,
That's
nice.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Anything Iowa.
Getting colder outside. It stays a balmy 72 degrees in Hilton all year round. And coming off of, I would say it's 3-0, two again kind of routes the past week. We're going to start with Lindenwood and Nigel. I want to open this up to you. We were kind of joking during this game, and I said Keenan Cole looks like the only guy that should even be on this court playing Iowa State right now. The rest of the guys were really having a tough time. You actually know Keenan Cole going back from high school.
Yeah, no. Shout out to my guy Keenan Cole, fifth year senior. Actually played at Iowa State too. Um, in 2019, fall of 2019, when Halliburton was still on the team, and he was a true freshman. And they got killed then too, so he's not. This isn't a new feeling to him. He just was like, "Look, I'm gonna go out there and get mine." So hey, respect to my guy Keenan Cole. He had quite the game himself, but just not enough for the Lindenwood Lions, to say the least.
Yeah, one of the few highlights for the Lions.
Oh yeah,
I will say that game was 30-22 in the first half, and then Iowa State went on a 72-25 run,
yeah. I mean,
and that is nuts.
Lipsy was unreal.
Yeah,
Like we talked about just like him being less afraid to shoot all those shots. You really saw it on display against Lindenwood. I mean, he was just at his confidence was at an all time high, and he was getting to the rack with such ease. It just everything looked like it was slowed down, kind of like we talked about how a lot of things looked for him in high school. And if we can get into late January with him playing like that, I mean, the Big 12's in trouble.
he had 21 points. I believe that's his career high. I feel like I remember them saying that it was his career high. 8 for 11 from the field. Again, had a 3-point shot, 4 for 5 from the free throw line, and then 7 assists on top of that. So yeah, a maestro game from Taman Lipsy. Momcilovic came in hot again, 17 points. He scored in double digits in all 3 of these first games. Shot 3 for 7 from the 3-point line, couple rebounds. And then Keyshawn Gilbert, ultra aggressive, and we've seen that throughout. He is looking to get downhill with that quick first step at as many times as he can. This game though, like late in the second half, it felt like someone needed to step in and throw the white towel. Like it was getting to the point where I was like, this is getting ugly. Like this is getting like I'm starting to feel bad. Like I mean, it felt like we were running up the score. I don't know what else to do. Like you got to take the shots you get, but it was almost too easy against Lindenwood.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, and especially these what I like to call tune-up games, um, it can get out of hand fast. So I mean, it's really about making sure your rotation guys, get those proper reps, and then at some point, you got to start putting Cade Kelderman and Conrad in the game, and they both got some tick today. Tick, excuse me. They both got some tick in that game, so that was good to see. And I think you got to just know that. TJ knows that going in. Like, I'm probably going to play everybody today.
Yeah.
So let's just try to make the most out of everyone's minutes, and I think they did that.
I want to throw this stat by you. I was doing some just true basketball sicko. I've been on Ken Palm all morning. I've been on NCAAstats.com. Iowa State has forced more turnovers throughout 3 games than the opposing teams have made field goals from the field. So you are more likely, if you're taking the ball up against Iowa State right now, you're more likely to commit a turnover than to make a shot.
That's a great situation to be in. But
that's wild.
I mean, that's just insane, because it's like, if you can keep that level of intensity pretty much this entire out of conference season going into January, I mean, the advantage Hilton is going to be this year, it's going to be special. I think we already had that natural advantage, given that our fans are so passionate, they're so loud. God forbid we don't like you. We're just not going to let you hear the end of it. I mean, you remember how we did Tyrese Hunter last year.
Oof.
The Hilton's special already. So you add that high level of defense intensity, and Lord knows if that team will come out in one piece.
Turnover margin. We heard kind of early in the season, this team should be better on offense, might take a step back on defense. I get these first 3 teams, they're not high octane offenses, but the defense doesn't look like it skipped a beat, really.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Iowa State's 3rd in the country in turnover margin. Turnover margin basically looks at how often do you turn the ball over and how often do you force the other team to turn the ball over. So we have turned the other team over 62 times. We've only had 21 turnovers all season. And then this is kind of a weird stat. You have Purdue, Fort Wayne in front of us, and Kansas City, the Kangaroos, down there in front of us. But again, I know it's weird. Like, a lot of times, if you just don't turn the ball over at all, you get a really good turnover margin. That's the case for both those teams. But I expect us to be near the top in turnover margin. Rebounding margin, we're suffering a little bit. And then scoring margin, I think we're top 5 again. So not only have we just blown the brakes off of all 3 of these teams, but the defense has looked super intense. Ken Palm has us as, I want to say it was top 5. Let me see. Yeah, we're the 3rd best defense according to Ken Palm so far. So the defense has been stalwart, and the offense has looked better. But I think this narrative, at least so far, that the defense might take a step back. I mean, we're in passing lanes constantly. We're doubling as soon as the ball gets in the post. These long arms and this athleticism that our roster has, I think our defense might be a little better than people originally thought. Are you seeing anything defensively that you think might carry over to once we get into the Big 12 play, once we play better teams?
Yeah, I think too. Like, it's just TJ has done a good job preparing everyone to almost go out there and defend Green Bay how you would defend Kansas.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter who we're playing. Go out there, and the standard is a standard. So then, by the time you get to a late Thanksgiving tournament or late December game against maybe Baylor, going into the new year, none of that is brand new. Like, none of that playing hard. Like, that's the expectation. And when that's the expectation, when you're used to doing that already, I feel like only good things can come out of that. And, it's gonna be second nature to, I guess, pretty much play your butt off, and then come in those big moments. It's not gonna take as much out of you when you need those big stops, those big moments on defense. So, like you said, I haven't seen much go away from the defensive end. I think I don't think TJ is going to be able to sleep at night knowing that his team can't defend. And
Right.
I think he's going to do whatever it takes to get that out of them. And I think he's already gotten that out of them early on this year. I do have one question though for you, because we talk about how solid everyone is defensively. Coming into the year, I was very skeptical because I didn't know that Milan was going to start. But on top of it, I didn't know he could move that well on defense. Like, I'm very impressed with his closeouts. Like, he's able to close out, get back on balance, and like stay with his man almost all the time. Do you think that's kind of the advantage that puts him maybe over Omaha in the starting 4 position?
His offense, obviously, I think his ability to stretch the floor at the height he is, and I've heard him say it in kind of post game interviews, like going up against Iowa State's defense in practice for 5 months. Like it's kind of like taking a donut off of a bat, like with practice swings. Like as soon as you get out there and you're playing Green Bay's defense, and now you're trying to score over someone who's not Trey King, things just kind of flow easily for him because he's been used to getting hounded by the third best defense in the country all summer, and he's like, oh, this is a lot easier now than it was in July and August. So I think just his offensive prowess, but yeah, like you said, on defense, he looks like you don't have to hide him on defense, essentially. Like you're not going to have to. I don't think teams are going to be able to be like, okay, let's switch on the screen until we get Milan, guarding our best guard. I don't think you're going to see that as much. And I truly think, though, he had even like a spin jumper, top of the key. Like the dude's nasty with it. I mean, he's just a threat from anywhere on the court on the offensive side.
Yeah,
So,
and it's crazy because like I was like, oh, we actually have a stretch big, but this guy is hitting Dirk Nowitzki
yeah,
level shots
right.
consistently, like out of the post, off the catch, and in transit. Like he's got it all. So I've just been very impressed with what he's shown so far, and his ability to defend was like raising my level of being impressed already. So very excited to what he's going to be able to continue to bring for the Cyclones this year.
And I will say we've seen those first two games we shot really well from three,
Mhm.
and I didn't know if that was going to be able to hold up throughout the whole season. And against Idaho State, we only shot I think 4 of 13 from 3-point land, still won by 31 points. But I think it's encouraging that we're not going to live and die by the three ball. We are going to be able to beat these teams by 30 with or without the 3-point ball. Looking at Idaho State, I think Trey King had a great first half. I mean, he kind of was the motor in that first half. I think you sent me this TikTok. I was trying to remember this morning. When guys like just let their hair go, like they just grow that shit out, they just become, it's like a different persona. And he looked like 2004 Ben Wallace out there with the afro.
Oh yeah,
Speak to what is that? He just looked kind of like he had a different kind of energy to him, I think, against Idaho State.
yeah. I think too, just like you start to kind of gain quickly the identity that what the team is this year, and I think Trey is the kind of guy who can, older guys can they can figure out how to plug themselves in to any situation quicker. I feel like Trey is going to find his spots a lot easier right now than maybe Omaha would, But I think it's also just a testament to the standard that the older guys are now setting in the program. I think it's not just Trey when you say that. Like he's doing a phenomenal job in his role, but also I think of Rob. Rob has been fantastic. I mean, in games that don't matter, he's still playing his butt off and he's doing things the right way because it's just setting that standard that they need to continue going into the rest of the year. And then, of course, Taman. Again, he's not the oldest guy in the room, but he sure looks like it sometimes when he just can control the whole game with his pace and his patience, and then also his just ability to be aggressive on the offensive end.
I'm seeing kind of a pattern. And I know it's early in the season, a big three of Taman Lipsey, Keyshawn Gilbert, and Trey King. Those three guys just kind of, whether it's scoring, they just kind of seem to be the leaders of this team. I think Milan is going to be like an excellent X factor. Like he could lead the team in scoring some nights, but I think those three guys are kind of the leaders, the keys to success as this season goes along.
Yeah, Gilbert's been so impressive. And it's like the more I see him play, the more I just see John Morant in a Cyclone uniform.
Yeah.
I mean, his ability to get to the rack, he can shoot the wide open shots. He's just so good. And I think he's going to do wonders for us. I think at times he's going to be a bit more explosive than maybe Holmes was. And that's no diss to Holmes. Holmes was phenomenal for us for the time he's with us. But I just think he's going to be really special. And I think playing along Taman is going to be extremely helpful for him, especially when it comes to scoring the ball.
And his ability to get downhill and finish through contact. I mean, he's had a lot of and ones already. Yeah. And I think he's like the perfect backcourt match with Taman because Lipsey, I mean, he had a great game. I think he is getting more aggressive, But Keyshawn's never going to be scared to shoot the ball. Like that guy, he loves scoring. That is what his MO is. And I think that's just a good yin and yang backcourt, at least so far, to have Lipsy kind of the ultimate ball mover, rebound, hustle, kind of, dictate this offense, and then just let Keyshawn go. Just let him cook, so to speak.
Could you imagine, like, I know a lot of bigs, they want to wall up, and I feel very bad for any team's 5-man who's just having to take straight shots from Keyshawn and Taman all day, because I mean they bounce right off you, and they're strong kids, so
Yeah,
they're gonna give a lot of big men their work cut out for them. So I'm so excited to see what those guys will be able to do long term, and I think it's gonna be really cool.
we have yet to see kind of a breakout game for Omaha, and I think that's kind of the last thing that Iowa State fans are wanting in these tune-up games is, let's see this 5-star McDonald's All-American. Let's see what he's capable of. What do you think is either limiting him, or what do you think it is that things haven't just clicked maybe as soon as it has for Momcilovic or the other newcomers?
I've been trying to think about this too, because like I think maybe it might be Milan's good play right now. I think that might be, in a way, Omaha may not be trying to step on his toes and try to outshine him and I guess take away the moment, like feed the hot hand essentially. Like if you're hitting threes, why would I take away from your moment just to get mine? I mean, I think at the end of the day, Omaha's an unselfish kid, so he's going to try to do what's best for the team, and I think that's kind of been not beat into his head, but it's kind of just been the standard in this program. So I think he's just trying to get in line. I think the little things right now probably mean a bit more to him, so that, if he's scoring, it's because the opportunity is there right in front of him. So I think as he gets more comfortable with, the standard of the program becoming second nature, I think he'll start to find himself in better scoring opportunities. And honestly, we could use this to our best advantage, because, it could get to the point where everyone's so dialed in on Milan, or Milan gets in foul trouble in a game early. We toss in Omaha Blue, a 5-star recruit who's an animal on defense and a freak athlete. I like my chances with that, so maybe it's probably best he's not having the most explosive start, because he can essentially be maybe the best secret weapon in the Big 12. So I don't know if, again, that's like TJ's method to his madness, but I think if he just stays the course, I think he's going to find that day. I mean, it's bound to come. So I think it's just it's a matter of time.
The one thing that's fascinating to me about Momcilovic and Omaha is they're about the same size, both highly touted freshmen, but they play such different styles of basketball. Like Momcilovic's strength are going to be apparent in the box score. He's going to shoot really well from three. He's going to score points. But what Omaha does, I mean, he had 2 steals, 1 block, 5 rebounds. Like, he's not blowing up. Got a little ad here from ESPN.
Those are the worst.
Come on, man. Okay. We're good. Not sure who that wasn't a sponsor.
No
Wasn't
free
even sure
ads.
who the ad is.
No free ads.
What I'm trying to say, Momcilovic, his box score is going to often look better than Omaha's, but that doesn't mean Omaha's not contributing to the team. They just do very different things.
Right.
The hustle is still there. The defense is there. The active, in the passing lanes, the doubling down low, he's doing all of that. He's still bought in. Like, I don't think there's a reason to panic yet, is essentially what I'm saying. He's still doing what he's good at. It's just not as flashy maybe as what Momcilovic has done so far.
Yeah. And you don't want to, like you said, like, you don't want to step on Milan's toes.
Right.
And I guess he's trying to let his bro cook, and Milan's, he's been making Thanksgiving dinners lately.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a testament to his character, that he's not all about him.
Right.
And I think in the long run, whether we have him for a year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows? But I mean, however long he's in a Cyclone uniform, we are getting a very unselfish player, and I'll take that any day of the week.
And then another thing, especially this last game against Idaho State, Curtis and Robert Jones both looked really good off the bench. Curtis had 14 points. Jones had 12. Also, the other thing that's really exciting to me is we've had 4 players in double digits almost every single game, and they've been different. It hasn't been the same 4 guys every time. So that is important. I think as the season goes along, that you're not depending on the same 2 guys to step up every night and come through for you. You have different places you can go to get scoring on this team. The only question I have, what happens? It seems like we haven't been punched in the face yet. We haven't, given up a 10-0 run, unsurprisingly at some point because the teams were playing. But what happens when VCU, goes up 8 and now it's like we've never played from, behind the 8 ball before? How does this team respond to that?
I think with their ball pressure, I think
Yeah.
it's something that you haven't had to show off lately, given the competition. But like we talked about back in episode 1, I mean, the ability that Hassan has to pick up full court, and like you say, the fact that they got to play VCU, my guy, if you're not taking that game personally, like I don't know what will get you out of bed, like personally. I think that'll be a great game for him to finally showcase like his coming out party, I guess, because Hassan's had great games, but it's just more so of like the Omaha. He's just doing the little things correctly, but may not have the most prolific scoring night or whatnot. So I think what's gonna get us out of that drought, God forbid if we get into it, is gonna be that ball pressure. Because between Ward, Gilbert, Lipsy, and then if I've yet to see Milan move in a press, but considering how I see him move in the half court defense, good luck. It's going to be a long night because that core group of 4 is they're long, they're quick, and they're explosive. So I think they're gonna give guys a difficult time.
And we've seen teams already, that have to take a timeout in the backcourt trying to move the ball up, or even we've seen a 10-second violation already too. So I think that either like a trap or like just full court pressure. I mean, it doesn't even have to be like a press, but just like making them work to get across half court, I think really helps Iowa State with that length.
Yeah, the sole idea of me just like imagining Hassan Ward picking me up full court, the ball's going off my foot.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm calling a timeout and just telling coach sub someone else.
I might cry.
Yeah.
I might go sit down and reconsider playing this sport. So
and he has the potential for some really big highlight plays. He had like kind of not really a true chase down block, but just kind of like weak side. Guy thought he had an empty layup, and Hassan just came out of nowhere and it was a foul. But he just, literally jumped out of the sky and blocked that sucker. And I was like, oh, like how did he recover that quickly? He has some real athleticism.
Yeah, and again, these are games that guys aren't trying to kill themselves over just to get one sole block. I mean, you're trying to play hard but also play smart because you got a lot more important games ahead of you, especially coming in this month with Thanksgiving around the corner. So I think it's just like these games are all just like showcasing, like just giving you a taste of the goods. And I think right now the goods are good, and it's looking very high going into Thanksgiving.
I don't have a whole lot else on Idaho State or Lindenwood. I do have one flying shot, and Connor Ferguson, please take no offense to this. Our yellow uniforms, they've never done it for me. I don't like the big I-State logo. You like these ones?
They're like our best uniform.
Oh, I don't know, man. It reminds me of like the t-shirt, like the NBA t-shirt jerseys, where like it was just like the huge logo, and then they were just wearing like soccer uniforms. It doesn't look.
No way
right.
you just compared the soccer NBA jerseys to.
It's kind of you got the big fat logo, and you can't even read state because state's in yellow, and so is the jersey. It just looks like a red eye and then the number.
But it's like you should know what it is. It's not like
I don't know.
It's not. This is bad, man. I'm disappointed.
I think red, white, and then really start to mix in that black and white uniform. And then if we can get black and white paint on the court, I don't think they'll go through the trouble of like making an entire new court to just get a black and white floor. That would look awesome. When Kansas comes to town on CBS late January, let me see a blackout game and then black and white paint on the court. That'll be way better than any yellow uniform that we can trot out there.
Hear me out. Given your hoodie, which I think is sick, that is my favorite Iowa State logo.
Yeah. Let me get.
Do you think we should get a jersey with that base color and that logo? Because if you don't like the current I State logo, How would you feel about that type of jersey? If it doesn't have to be a home jersey, but it's probably most likely would be an away jersey. But how would you feel about that type of colorway?
Like the tertiary blue, like this color blue.
Yeah, and then with that logo.
So this is a very divisive color within Iowa State. I love it because again, like this is what I grew up like with the dog bone collars on the football uniforms, and like this logo and the dark blue is just one of our colors. So I have always loved it. I think I mean, it's going to be whatever. These black and white uniforms, there's still people that like get mad about them. You're going to have someone that doesn't like them. I would love a navy blue Iowa State basketball uniform. I think that looks sick.
Yeah, I don't know who makes the jerseys. Who does make the jerseys?
No, I mean, I know it's sponsored by Nike, but I don't know like who's calling the shots on design.
We got to make it happen. Make it happen.
Make
I'll
some
start a
calls.
petition.
Again, we don't have another game till Sunday now, so it's going to be a long week of no Iowa State basketball, unfortunately, on the men's side. We do have a game tonight, K-State against South Dakota State. I'm going to keep my eye on that one. My Jackrabbits, for anyone that doesn't know, I spent a semester in Brookings, South Dakota, and I kind of jokingly, kind of not jokingly follow South Dakota State athletics, and they've always had a good basketball team.
TJ would be a great fan of you.
Yeah, I mean, I was at TJ's games in Brookings. I was on the yachts train before Cyclones were. So I'm keeping an eye on that one. That could be a trap game for K-State there. I could see an upset. And then the other one, Nigel, we got to bring this up. Duke. Goo.
Oh, are you referring to the Arizona loss? Or are you referring to we have to play Michigan State next?
A little bit of both. Caleb Love still getting buckets against Duke, and now you got to turn around and face Izzo.
Timeout. I wore my Caleb Grill shirt today.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So I will not tolerate any good things said about Caleb Love on this podcast. We just won't let it happen. This is the same man that my man Caleb Grill dropped a 30 burger on.
Yeah.
You know, and in theory, Caleb Love on Friday finished with 11 points. Had Duke not been in a position where they had to foul, Buddy would have finished with 7 points. So he didn't have that prolific of a game. People are just real social media heavy. He's waving at fans. The kid's annoying. That's just my 2 cents. He was talking smack to Grill last year, and dude got popped in the mouth. So I don't know when he'll learn. Nonetheless, that is a good loss. I mean, Duke they're a young team, but I think they need to be able to be humbled because of the expectations this year. And I think it's a great learning opportunity early on in the year. And then to have to turn around and go play Michigan State in Chicago, I think it's going to be an even more competitive environment. So I think it's only going to do wonders for the team long term. But yeah, no, I think you look at teams like that who are in game 2 opening up against Arizona at home, and then I think teams like us, it is the polar opposite of like polarizing off-season non-conference schedules. And I think that can help and hurt us come tournament time. I think that's how back in the Brockington year we end up an 11 seed. It's just because you're not playing that competitive out of conference season. You're kind of banking on the Big 12 to really be good again, and just pretty much all your conference games are going to be ranked opponents, and which I think will happen. But it's always good to you hope to. It would have been cool this year to be at Maui, and see those get those competitive teams early, like a Marquette, or maybe even maybe a Kentucky or something like that. And now that I'm thinking about it, when's the last time Duke has played a blue blood? Was it UNC in the tournament?
Duke,
like out of conference. Well, no, they played UNC last year, but like when they scheduled just a genuine like out of conference, like high level top tier 1 team.
I think some of these big teams know they can schedule like another big team, and it's a quad 1 loss.
Right.
So they're like, who cares? And it also like the committee in March isn't gonna like condemn Duke for losing to Arizona in November. Like it's so like it was like 4 months ago. Like people are like, you're thinking about the ACC tournament or the Big 12 tournament, like it's not even on the radar. So I do, and Iowa State won't play a top 100 team in Ken Palm till, depending if we beat VCU, it could be the game after that, but it could be as Iowa we play on December 7th. So it could be a while till we play, a team even close to the caliber of a Big 12 team.
Yeah, I think this first half of the season can mirror the 2021 season, the
Yeah,
2021-22 season, just because you pretty much went the whole out of conference year undefeated,
right.
kill Iowa by 20, and then had to play Baylor, and they kind of give us a piece of that humble pie. So you hope that they make the most of these non threatening opponents so far, and you hope that they can just kind of still make the best of what they're given, and hopefully that it won't affect them once they have to play those like you said those tier one teams.
Right. And then another thing that I'm just having fun keeping an eye on is DePaul, who is the Big East Challenge, Big 12 Big East Challenge. They're 0-2, and they've lost to Purdue, Fort Wayne, and Long Beach State.
I was
So
about to say when you
DePaul
brought up Purdue Fort
stinks.
Wayne, I was like, didn't they beat
Yeah.
like
And
DePaul?
probably because they turned DePaul over a billion times. So if Purdue Fort Wayne is, giving DePaul hell on defense, I don't even want to know what it's going to look like when they play us.
Yeah, again, it's like we just keep getting in a way the luck of the draw with getting like pretty much the worst teams in each situation, even in the Big 12 Big East Challenge. But um, you gotta just make the most of it. I think it's more of an excuse to play hard. It's more of an
Right.
excuse to win big. And I think if you're always just playing hard, if you're put it this way, if you're always ready, you'll never have to get ready.
Yeah.
And I think that's got to be a huge mentality that this team has to carry on if they want to have a successful conference season. And really got to be everyone's mentality right now.
I think we're both looking forward to some closer games, some more competitive games out of Iowa State. I really want to see what happens when they play a team and it comes down to the wire. I want to see who's taking shots for us. Probably won't be this Sunday. Iowa State plays Grambling. That tips off at noon. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to some bigger names, some bigger teams.
Yeah, and it's so hard too because yesterday was a very tough game to get up for, and I know the Iowa State BYU game ran late, and a lot of fans. We've been Ames. A lot of people are hungover.
Right.
There's not a lot,
Fair.
not a lot of energy in Hilton. People are dead. So, I mean, it's just tough to kind of rejuvenate in a situation like that. So to see how hard they played and to see how convincingly they won, it was really impressive. And hopefully they can do the same like next week.
Yeah, good things to come. I really like this team. I like where they're headed. I expect kind of another tune-up game against Grambling, and then let's go down to Florida and see what this team's made of. So
Yeah, usually in the Otzelberger era, we've had a good Thanksgiving history. So I'm excited to see some good basketball that week.
Any parting shots before we get out of here, Nigel?
I don't know. I'm glad you brought up Duke, so I didn't have to because I would have felt like a homer. But I definitely am excited for not just their game, but just the Kansas and Kentucky game because those are all just gonna be really good teams this year. And I would like to get a read on Kansas early just to see how they're playing against that tier one competition. So then you can kind of get that measuring stick for how they play against us. So I'll be excited to watch that game as well.
Yeah, I encourage, Iowa State has a kind of a bye week. So, yeah, check in on these Big 12 teams. Kansas State plays tonight. Kansas plays a big game tomorrow. Houston is playing throughout the week. So, get familiar with some of these teams while we have the week off, and let's do it, man.
Let's cook.